Are you ready to learn how to have your assistant manage your projects or even your clients? In this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to have your assistant manage the projects in your business, whether that's the internal side or even the external side, such as managing actual clients that you might have going through your services pipeline. Now, a few of our clients at 2XU have their assistants as their project managers. To name a few, we have a client who is a podcasting agency, so they have their assistant taking their clients through the onboarding part, the recurring service, taking care of all the details of assigning the people, of helping produce the podcast, so on and so forth. Some of them have their assistants manage more internal projects, such as improving systems, operations, procedures that they might have, and some of them are managing the products as they go through the pipeline. Every time that someone sends through the order, the assistant is the one managing the whole process to making sure that the package actually got delivered, and the client also leaves a review on their page. So whatever that looks like for you and your business, I'm going to walk you through what that looks like. So of course, make sure to watch until the end of this video for that process. Now, the first part is to make sure that you define the process or the pipeline basically that they'll be managing. It's walking them through step by step what is expected. So for example, for us in 2XU, for our client success managers, they're kind of a little bit project managers as well, because they're making sure our clients go through the process of onboarding to getting an assistant to the ongoing support that we have in 2XU. So I have walked through basically in the first 30 days of our client success managers, they're able to see what that process looks like and even run it themselves as we get clients. They get to run it live, so then they get to practice, they get to be better and better at the whole process as well. This way as well, you are able to give them the expectations for each part of the process or the pipeline of like, hey, make sure that this is done within 24 hours. This can be done within 3 days. This has to be a back and forth between the client or with the other members of the team. So let's say, for example, you have a content marketing business. You are making sure that the assistant understands, or the project manager assistant understands. For the beginning part, it might be making sure that it's defined how many graphics that the client needs, how many copywriters the client needs, and then it's also then creating that team for them of what that looks like and what updates or emails need to be sent to different people to make sure that they know what's happening throughout the pipeline, all the way through basically as you are delivering that. So the project manager doesn't have to have necessarily the skills for the work, but they're just making sure that things get done through the process. Next is you want to make sure that you choose the tool. So this could be done either before you hire the project manager assistant or while they're there. You're asking them for their clarity on their preference, on what they've used before. That way it's a little bit easier if you don't have your own tool just yet. But it's basically choosing tools that will make it easier for them to follow the pipeline. Now, depending on the kind of service or product that you might have, you might already have a system that you follow, whether you're on Etsy or Amazon, for example, if you're a product-based business. Or if you're more a service-based business like 2XU, we use a tool called Notion. We move the client through basically a kind of a Kanban board that we have, so we know which part of the process they're at and how we can support them on that. So this could be Trello, this could be Asana, this could be Monday.com. For us, we just use Notion. It just makes our lives a little bit easier because everything else is there anyway. But it's important that you set and establish it. And a lot of times the format or what it looks like will change. You'll learn a few things, you'll adjust a few things. The important thing is that you stick to a tool long enough that things can start looking to make sense. Next is the communication tool that you'll be using or that they'll be using as well. This could be Slack, for example, if they're going to be working with different parts of the team. This could be on WhatsApp if they're just directly with the client and they're walking them through what that process looks like. Or this could just be email as well, of like automated emails that can be sent off and replied to as they come in. The important part of this is that people who need to be informed of where the project or the process is at is kept informed. Next is making sure that you establish with them what the end goal is. Whether the end goal is literally for the product to be delivered and that they get the review, that's the end goal, or the end goal is make sure that they become a recurring client, or that the end goal is that they give us referrals. So it's making sure that there's a clarity on how happy you want your clients or the people who are going through your business is, or even for internal projects, making sure like, hey, like right now in 2XU, we're upgrading all of our training systems. So what that looks like for us, the end goal goal is that once the EA is onboarded into 2XU, before they get onboarded with the client, they're already prepped and going through all of these different skills and stages in their development. So then by the time that they're onboarded with the client, they're ready. So that's our end goal with upgrading our training process. So whatever that looks like for you and for your team basically, or for your company, it's making sure that you establish that with your project manager assistant. Next is then creating what that system looks like. So it's all about establishing basically what are the different stages inside of that system. It's going ahead and establishing what are the assets and the templates that needs to be created or needs to be established as well. Especially if you've been doing this for yourself for a while, for a little bit back, and you've just been writing things on your own, it's then developing that system with the assistant so then they can start running it on their own without having a lot of back and forth with you. Next is doing a 10% test. What I mean by this is, as you've now created the system, is you want to test them for just at least 10% of the process to see where they're at. So as a really good example, let's say for onboarding a client, for the new person who's managing your projects, they'll send you like, hey, I'm about to send this email. This is how I wrote it. This is the person I'm going to send it to. Is that right? It's basically just making sure that as they get started, that they are actually in the right direction and that you're able to change course for them if they're not. A lot of the times when you create a system and it's still fairly new, it can be so easy to slip back into the old ways before it was documented, before it was written down. So you want to make sure that there is a quick test that you can do to make sure that the person understands what they're supposed to be doing. Next is creating just a daily check-in system. What I mean by this is having a quick way for you, again, to know if they are on the right track. This is usually in the first like 2 weeks to 30 days. You don't have to do this forever and ever, but it's just making sure that you guys are in sync of what needs to happen next and where the project is at. Again, in a way where it is going to be helpful for the two of you to know what would be possible bottlenecks, what would be possible ways to make this faster, or just ways to make this more solid. The biggest reason for this is because it is such a new system. Again, it can be easy to have things fall through the cracks. It can be so easy for things to be forgotten. So having a daily check-in of like, hey, this is what I got done. This is what I'm doing today. These are the bottlenecks or things that I'm looking to improve also for today. So then you have that clarity moving forward as they go through their day. And then you switch over to a weekly feedback system. So what this is that they're able to then assess themselves of what were things that went wrong, what are the things that went right for that week, and what are the things that they need help with. There might be a few things that as you created the system, you're like, oh yeah, there's this one thing I used to do that made all of our clients happy. So then you're able to catch those, and in those weekly feedback systems or weekly feedback check-ins is you're able to see them, and the assistant doesn't have to feel like they're kind of left alone and they're now just doing things on their own. They still have your support or the support of whoever is the next person for that, so then they can continue doing what they do. And of course, the final and the best step that most people will usually skip is to make sure that you document and iterate. So earlier when you came to creating the system, you were still crafting what it looked like. What I mean by document and iterate, it's creating standard operating procedures. It is writing up what templates and assets and where to find them, not just writing them up, actually making it easy for people to access. And then iterating. Iterating is basically just the process of every single time that something in the standard operating procedures isn't being followed, that means that it is either wrong or that there was something that was unexpected that you had to switch up how the steps are being done. So it's making sure that you document that switch over. If you're going to be using a new tool, if you're going to be using a new process, if you're using a new asset, it's having the awareness basically of making sure that that process is up to date. So then for your assistant, they can easily follow it. If let's say they took a sick day or they took a leave day, then someone else is easily going to be able to follow through where the documentation is at. Or as they go through, as your assistant maybe moves up in other positions, it's going to be easy for them to train someone else. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below what projects or kind of things do you want your assistant to manage, whether internally or externally within your business. I would love to know. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to build business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.